Good morning, friends. Happy Wednesday. I hope that you're doing well. I hope you've been able to enjoy these warm afternoons that we've been having here in our area. I've ordered a few new books for the church library. If you come visit us at New Providence, if you come for a story time on the first Saturday of each month, you're going to find that we have tons and tons of kids' books, and we'll even let you check them out and take them home as long as you promise to bring them back. So I found a few new books for us last week, and I'm going to read one to you today. It's called Moses, God's Brave Servant. So these books are made by Zondervan Kids, and they're great for readers, for kids that are learning to read. So let's see what we can learn about Moses today. Miriam was hiding. Her baby brother was floating in a basket. Miriam's family was keeping the baby safe from the king of Egypt. The king didn't like Hebrew babies. The king's daughter came to the river. She saw the baby in the basket, and she wanted to keep the baby safe too. The princess took the baby to the king's house. She named the baby Moses. Moses became her son, and the king didn't hurt Moses. He grew up in the king's house, and Moses was a prince in Egypt. When Moses was grown up, he saw the Hebrews were slaves. The Egyptians yelled at the slaves, and they made them work hard. Moses left Egypt. He didn't like the way the Egyptians treated the slaves. Moses went into the wilderness and took care of sheep. One day, Moses saw a bush burning, but the bush never burned down. God was in the bush. God said, "Moses, tell the Egyptians to let the slaves go." So Moses walked to Egypt, and he said to the king, "God wants you to let the slaves go." And the king said no. Moses told the king that God would send plagues. Plagues are very bad things. The plagues would happen until the king let the slaves go. The river turned to blood. Frogs and flies were everywhere. Animals died. People got sick. Hail hurt people, and bugs ate the food. It was very dark for a while, too. The last plague was the worst. The king's son died. Finally, the king let the slaves go. Moses and the slaves packed up. They walked out of Egypt. The Hebrew slaves were free. Moses and the Hebrews stopped. The Red Sea was in front of them. They couldn't cross the water. The king changed his mind. The king and his army were coming. The Hebrews were trapped. God had a plan to help the Hebrews. He told Moses to raise his staff, that God would make a miracle happen. When Moses raised his staff, the water split in two. The Hebrews could cross the Red Sea. The Hebrews were amazed. The Hebrews ran across the sea. The king and his army followed. The Hebrews ran faster. The king's army was getting closer. When the last slave got across, the water started to fall back down. The king and his army were still in the middle of the sea. The horses were fast, and the army tried to get across. The horses were not fast enough. The water fell down. The king and his army were stuck. No Egyptians got to dry land. All the Hebrews sang songs to God. They danced and were happy. God had saved his people. Until we meet again, friends, I hope you stay healthy and happy. Bye-bye.